talking about us. Anything we don't suck. Anything we don't love us. It in the be like highway.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, all siblings of the world, welcome to another episode of Jabari Vok Media, aka Jabari Media, whatever y'all want to call it. I know some people called it Jabari Vok now, and now I'm telling them, drop the Vok, but it's okay. It's okay. We are here. We are here, fam. It's been a crazy week. We talk a lot of politics on this podcast. And it's been a crazy week. There's a lot I'm going to get into later on the show. Some of it might get brought up here, but I want to bring up to the show Elias Ali, who is going to be here momentarily. Before he comes on, I want everyone to make sure, because it's going to be the weekend. Happy Saturday, happy Sunday. You made it to the weekend. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Matter of fact, I'll just leave it up right here so you can remember. That's what helps, man. That's what helps the algorithm. 300 views last episode. Let's keep this going. You know what I mean? I got him right here. Can we please bring to the stage one of my favorite comrades who I don't have the pleasure of seeing every single day? But every time I get to talk to this brother, it is always vibes. Always. Oh, man. And I really appreciate that interlude on your last EP, talking about how hip-hop, it started in the Bronx, and it's not only a black genre, but it's also a Puerto Rican genre. A lot of people miss that. It is we both of our cultures made that together, dude, and people forget. They forget.
For sure. Yo, first of all, man, thanks for having me again. It's been far too long, man. So I'm glad to be back here, bro. I'm so proud of all you've been doing with your podcast, and just keep going, keep grinding, and I know it's gonna succeed and continue to do well. So I'm happy to be a small part of the journey with you, man. Just seeing it come along all the way. But yeah, man, that interlude was actually, I almost didn't include that because I almost didn't include it. I almost didn't include it. I love Busta Rhymes, and I like that he shouted out and kind of honored, the Puerto Rican background and contributions to hip hop. But I didn't want to be part of the diaspora wars. Two,
that's a real thing.
It's wild. It's really wild. I was actually convinced to put it back on. And in that time that hip hop was first really coming into being, obviously it was in the South Bronx, with the jams and the parties. Yep. And very early on, obviously, I would say that it is a black genre. I would say that it has started as a black genre. It has continued to be a black genre, and it is a black genre now, even with those contributions. So, like, if I were saying it, I would word it a little differently than how Bust did. But, I just liked that moment in the concert and hip hop history where he was like, some people conveniently forget who fathered this shit. Black people and Puerto Rican people together. And I appreciated that, him being from New York, him having been around, obviously he was in his late teens, 20s when he started, but when he's born and coming up, he's seeing it take place, in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and things like that. So a lot of people really, as it has spread throughout the world, have forgotten its roots. But, to make a metaphor, if I may, let's say there's a black owned restaurant founded by a black owner, and, the original staff is all black. And then, early on they have a cook that's Puerto Rican. and he helps with the menu and contributes to some stuff. Because that Puerto Rican is there, I don't think that is now non-black operation. You know what I mean? Or that it is diluted in any way, or that, even because if you acknowledge those contributions that he made to the menu, that's taking away. And I think that's because of how much theft there is in black culture, and how much erasure there is. People become very defensive, rightfully so. So coming into that conversation, I'm actually really glad you started it with that. I am a fair skinned person in a darker skin tone, genre. And not only that, with some, obviously I'm not white, but with white rappers, especially like the Jack Harlow thing coming out with his neo soul era, and that terrible podcast moment. You know what I mean? It's like he gave us an exact idea of like what not to do to, honor the black musical tradition.
Right.
But I am also somebody who likes different styles of music and dabbles in different genres. So, I just wanted to make sure that I honor it, but also like show that bravado. Like, yeah, I'm from the Bronx. I'm Puerto Rican. Like, we've been here. We've been doing this. If you need some history, DJ Charlie Chase with the Cold Crush Brothers in the late 70s, very early hip hop. He was around before it was even called hip hop, and he was a pioneering DJ when the DJs were really the stars of the show in a lot of ways. Moving forward, and he moved throughout the 80s, but moving forward to the 80s, the Fat Boys, you know what I mean? You have Prince Marky D, you know what I mean, who was a pioneer. That Fat Boys was a pioneering group. They were the first group, I think, to go gold in the hip hop genre. And they released 7 projects. He went on to produce and write music for other artists throughout the 90s, including Mary J. Blige, if I'm remembering correctly, and Mariah Carey. So just major contributions to the genre. But again, that doesn't mean that we like own it. You know what I mean? We're just proud of the contributions that we've had to it. But it is a beautiful black tradition, and a black Caribbean tradition, I should add, with a lot of Jamaican contributions as well, from its earliest roots to now.
I mean, when you just look at how beautiful the genre of reggaeton is. Just real quick, I just wanted to highlight that. That just shows how much, because I feel that reggaeton is a sister to hip hop. When you really listen to reggaeton, I mean, Bad Bunny. What are your thoughts on him so far? I have to ask this because you are actually the for this season so far the only Puerto Rican artists that I have had on.
Let's go, man. This is a great start, man. This is a good start. Bad Bunny. I mean, you can't take it away from him in the moment. You know what I mean? There's just so much with just like him as an artist, and also like the cultural and political moment behind like what was brewing as he was selected. Jay-Z said in his interview recently, everybody was like, why'd you choose this guy? Is he the right guy? And in his recent interview, where he said a lot of cool stuff, a lot of weird stuff, as Jay, you know what I mean, billionaire, whatever. But he did say, but the interesting thing that he did say was he was like, I didn't go out on a limb with him. He was like, consistently, he's been the biggest artist in the world. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I didn't choose some obscure artist, give some unknown artist a chance. He's like, I chose the biggest artist in the world, and it's crazy to be able to say that about somebody from Vega Baja, Puerto Rico, from the island, from a little barrio who was, bagging groceries, comes from a stable working class background, but certainly not from means or anything like that, to be the biggest artist in the world and consistently, growing and skyrocketing into what he is over the last 10 years. While also, people have their critiques of him. He's not a revolutionary. So I don't hold him to a revolutionary standard, but as an artist, he has, taken up the mantle of creating legitimate resistance art, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that analysis. That's exactly how I feel about Bad Bunny. And going away from that, because it's a very, very important moment. Since I already brought it up, I might as well just mention, I'm pretty sure you agree. It's just crazy how, the media has tried so hard to just make the Super Bowl halftime show so negative, when it's been multicultural since the beginning. I mean, the first artist that was able to perform in the Super Bowl was Michael Jackson. It wasn't even a white guy. So the whole it's really funny to me how the media just has the reins in the anger, but that's something we can talk about later.
Hey man, we can open it up, man. I know we got a hard hour, so we could just go
we got
into
a
it,
hard hour, yeah.
But I do want to say on that point, and like you said, we could dig into it a little deeper later. Just real quick, like him being in the Super Bowl as a Puerto Rican artist and kind of like making that stance that he did with the Americas, like just saying all the countries, right?
All the countries. That was crazy.
Not just Latin American countries, Caribbean countries, America, Canada, the whole shebang was really powerful. And I'm proud of it being a Puerto Rican, right? Somebody that's born a citizen, right? Because we're in this weird position oftentimes, like, there's Black Puerto Ricans, of course. There's white Puerto Ricans, of course, but typically we're not considered Black or white.
Right.
Typically, we're often considered non-Black and non-white, regardless of our racial background and stuff. So, like, people just like, you're Puerto Rican, right? And lump you with Latin American, which is a cool intersection to be at. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, when you're a kid, it's weird. You're trying to figure out. You're just trying to fit in. After a while, you're like, we're like the coolest oddballs out there. But I bring that up to say that it's cool that a citizen, somebody that's like maybe protected in ways that like a non-citizen isn't, was able to like have that moment. It was like really cathartic for me being a kid and like not knowing how to react when somebody like said, go back to your country. And I was like born here. Knowing my parents were born in the Bronx too. Knowing my grandparents, yes, they were born in Puerto Rico, but they were citizens even then. Puerto Ricans have been citizens since 1917. So, but also not feeling terribly proud about that because it's not like we asked for citizenship. Citizenship was really imposed upon us, So it really was a weird place to be. It's like we're citizens, but not treated as such. We're Latinos, but don't experience like the green card struggle. And growing up and like when people would say things. When you're a kid, you don't have the vocabulary to really stand up for it. But if somebody calls you like a Mexican, rather, at first it was just like, I'm not Mexican, and try to like give them a school of what I am. And then after a while, you have that pivotal moment where you're like, wait a minute, like, what if I was Mexican? Like, what's wrong with being a Mexican? Shout out to Mexicans. You know what I mean? I love Mexicans. You know what I mean? Like, and then kind of putting it back on them, like, what's up with you that would be some kind of insult, and learning that solidarity. It was cathartic for me for that reason, because it was like, wow, like he's doing it at the highest level, kind of showing what solidarity looks like, and we've seen Puerto Ricans and other immigrants who become citizens or just kind of get accepted into the media kind of stray away from really digging into that international solidarity and committing to the struggle. And I think he's represented in a beautiful way, not only for Boricuas, but for all of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, I could go on and on. My co-host Ashley Benitez for Studio 3A. She's also a Puerto Rican, and we have been just hammering as a coalition on these episodes whenever we talk about it, because it's so important to talk about how everything connects, even if you have the citizenship, your identity itself in the coalition with your identity of so many different diasporas, you are still going to feel something. And I think we're doing it in a beautiful way with trying to get people to understand. And that's one thing that I fully loved about your EP of Workers Rambling, because it definitely gives that message, and not only on the message of like the solidarity with people of color in the working class, but it's also showing like, anyone can relate to this. The workers betrayed is one of my favorite. Definitely one of my favorite, because it definitely gives a good solid understanding. And like, what I love about your style of hip hop, it's not bourgeois hip hop. You're not talking about things that we can't afford. You're talking about like, bro, we work at 40 hours a week, still can't afford shit. like you bring up the realness. You got some shit for the ladies, and then you're like, let me bring up the realness. Well,
Yeah, for sure, man.
on the workers rambling, basically to put the question in a hole. Like, what was it like putting this together? Did it take years? Like how? Like what was the process of putting this project together? And people definitely check this out on Spotify.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, the workers ramblings it did take years actually. In fact, if you look back at our last interview, I brought up some of the early concepts of the songs that I had for it. It didn't have a name. It didn't really have a home. But throughout the years and all the projects that I've released, like I've kind of always struggled in a good way, in a creative way, right? As you're creating something, it's like a struggle to like sculpt something like, what is this going to be? And then it doesn't always come out like exactly like what you thought. Even if you create something fire, you're like, okay, this is fire, but next time I'm going to try to do the same thing that I had originally set out to do. So Workers Ramblings I'm particularly proud of because it is a project that I have been trying to make for a long time. It is a project that like years ago when you heard Manifesto, like that might have been the seed to like this project. And what I mean by that is I've always been a lyrics guy. I've always been somebody who loved lyrics, and what lyric could I say may have been the prerequisite to this, I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? Tired of being poor and even worse, I'm black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. Cops give a damn about a Negro. Pull a trigger, killer, he a hero. You know what I mean? Get a crack to the kids. Who the hell cares? One less ugly mouth on welfare. When I was a kid and processing that stuff, like that might have been the prerequisite to like why I was like, okay, like, yes, I want to make fire raps that are just about like blinging and having fun. Like, and when I was freestyling with my friends coming up, like I wasn't like fully radicalized and fully politicized. And like, yeah, I had like all kind of wild lyrics. But even then I was like, man, like when I rap about something, I want you to be able to believe it. I want you to be able, like, if I say like I have a gun, I want you to be able to like know that like, oh, he's strapped now. You know what I mean? Like if I say like I have bling, like you're gonna see me with bling. If you haven't heard me say that, like I'm not blinged up yet. You know what I mean? Like right. And if I'm talking about like I'm up right now, it means that like I'm hustling and I'm grinding. So I've basically used inspiration from like artists that and again, like I fell in love with hip hop because of the fun parts and the bravado and some of the aspects of it that do come out very bourgeois. So I'm like, if people are listening to it and they like the genre, I want to be able to match the sound, but not necessarily match all the energy and the content that's happening all the time. Because there is a whole, there is a desire there. There are the people that enjoyed Pac's more political side rather than his more gangster side. There are the people like me who loved Lupe Fiasco. There are the people like me who, in addition to hip hop, were being raised in the 90s, early 2000s, Rage Against the Machine, hearing they murdered X and then they blamed it on Islam. I was like, like maybe the government was behind this at a very, 9, 8, 10, you know what I mean? Like, what does he mean by that? He says they murdered King after he spoke out on Vietnam. Like, what? They didn't teach me that part in school, like asking questions that it's like, where'd you learn that? Rage, Zach De La Rocha, you know what I mean? So this has always been the trajectory that I've wanted to go in, but I never had a project that from first song to the last was political. I've always kind of dabbled into different things. And so trying to create a cohesive political project has been a goal of mine for a long time that a Workers Rambling checked off. And then two, not only that, sonically, it's more cohesive, I would say, than my other projects. I would say that if you listen to some of my other stuff from a while ago, like it's been slowly getting more cohesive with time. But I like to, when I listen to an album, I'm still an album guy, and I like to press play, listen to it, and finish it. I like an album that's listenable. I don't like when it's 25 songs and some are long and it's just like slow lulls in it. I like when I press play and I'm shocked when it's finished and I want to start over again. So that was my goal, both having a politically cohesive message and just sonically cohesive where you listen to it through. So for this one, I was focused on not necessarily boom bap, but like the conscious rap of the 90s. I was listening to a lot of 90s rap. And I don't know if that necessarily shows in this, but because it does have a modern sound and obviously I'm working with like modern beat makers. But this is my kind of rendition on that tradition. And that's what led to A Worker's Ramblings, and that song in particular. Why I wanted to start it off, because it just sounded like so like spooky almost. You know what I mean? Like it was swaggy, but like it was kind of, when I say you not above me, but you're
Yeah,
not under me. Please
but
do
you're
not
not
come for
under.
me.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to introduce the concepts of like equality. I'm trying to
Yeah,
say like, hey, like I'm not speaking from like a pulpit, but I'm also not speaking just because I'm talking working class. Like I'm not like below you. Like I'm talking to
right.
you eye to eye, man to man, person to person. You know what I mean? So like that being like the intro, like was really like, hey, like this is coming from the grassroots, but it's not coming from a low
Mhm.
place. It's bubbling up into a powerful strength. And that's why the song ends with this chorus of, this is the sound of the workers escape. This is the sound of the people enslaved. This is the sound of the breaking the chains. This is the
Yeah.
sound of the, you know what I mean? So I just keep on building up with those voices. And I thought that had to be the intro. And when I had that, um, I had some other concepts of other songs. When I had that, I was like, okay, that's track one, and these other songs are going to come after it. And I just built it up from there. Mm.
Yeah, that's fire, man. I really see a really good template, out of like what artists that progress give, because hearing your earlier stuff, it like even just manifesto, like you know what I mean, like when hearing your earlier stuff, you could see like you're basically showing a journey, you know what I mean, and this project shows like, look, I could spit any genre you need me to do, like the I feel fine, fires, hell is too, like you're not afraid to get out that bag, and you're good with like trying to feel what match with the perspective of the message that you're trying to give,
Mm.
and you can see over time with whoever. I don't know, do you fuck with the same engineer that you fucked with in your last projects,
Say it
or
again.
is this different? The same engineer that you used your last project, is this the same engineer, or you
Great,
switch up?
great question. I have the same um, sound engineer as far as like my vocals.
Mm-hmm.
He mixes and masters all my stuff since 2019. So anything you heard after that point, which is the majority of my music that's out and available today, has been mixed by the same guy for my vocals, and we have gotten much stronger. And even like the sneak peeks of the new stuff that's coming out that I sent you,
Yeah,
like if you
yeah,
can hear, the quality is still going up. But
right.
beat makers and producers, I scour the earth. I scour the earth
Mm-hmm.
for beat selection. I've probably listened to many. Well, I've definitely listened to many over the span of my music making, many thousands of beats, um, probably in the tens. Whether I listen to it all through, whether I listen to it a few times, whether heard the first 15 seconds and skip. You know what I mean? Until I find something. There's not a lot of times where there's beat makers that like just make one fire beat, or they went through a period of time where they make like 15 fire beats, and then they change styles too, and it doesn't match like where you're trying to go.
Right.
Because they're on a musical journey as well. Like they might have
Yep.
started and they were making like trap, and then they switched to like boom bap, and then all of a sudden like you go with their stuff and it's like more R&B. And like, all right, like let me save this for like my R&B project, put it on that
Right.
playlist,
Right.
but
Right.
I'm going somewhere else right now. So like let me find more beats. So good question. I do mix it up. So I would say one of my strongest points, besides my pen and my voice, which I think out of the three things that I'm going to say, I would say my voice is the least of the skills. Not that like I'm downplaying myself or anything like that. I just think that better than my voice is my pen, and better than that is like my ear, for like
Mhm.
what I'm trying to listen for. Like when I listen to a beat and I know like, oh, this is a great beat. This is it, and I can do something for this. So, but yeah, same mixing and mastering. Kavion is the name. He's an artist in his own right. He's also a great person, and I think I'm not sure why you asked that question, but I think working with the same person consistently has helped us both know like where Elias Ali is going and where I sound, and like what we're both trying to do. Like I say what we're trying to do because he is a contributor. Like there's times where like he's given me an idea that I'm like, I don't even feel comfortable releasing it without giving you like writer credits because of how good that idea was. And I'll like give him like parts of the streams of certain songs, even if he's not featured on the song, even if he didn't write a line, but like he might have given me an idea for a harmony, or he might have mixed the track in such a way that I'm like, nah, like you made this track. And I'll give him like a partial writer credit and a producer credit just for his mixing of my vocals and like how he mixes my vocals into the beat.
Yeah. Because that makes a lot of sense, because listening to your older stuff and then listening to now, it definitely shows a very strong progression, and not in a way that it's like, oh, you could tell that this is like the first indie artist or something, you know, nothing crazy like that. What I'm saying is right. The mindset of like how the concepts of what you want to put together and blending, because it's hard to put together a working class conscious project while also trying to make sure that you are hitting all cylinders of what makes hip hop successful. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's the most difficult. It is. As I don't know if anybody else listening to this would agree, but I would say as an artist, it is very intimidating when I have written music, and I found it intimidating as feeling like a hypocrite to myself when I would just go and just do the stereotypical norms of what to expect out of writing raps, and then all of a sudden, yeah, this track is about equality and respecting women and all genders, and it, like, you know what I mean, like you you figured out the formula.
Man, that means a lot that you said that, dude.
You know what I mean?
It means a lot. Nah, yeah, it means a lot. One thing I will say is I've had comrades earlier in, like when I was first introducing my music into political spaces, I've had comrades call me out on some stuff. So that's a humbling experience, and that's an experience that has to do with growth, and that's on comrades, and that's on realness, and that's on, you know, just getting right and trying to be a better socialist and a better communist and a better person, because that's what those things mean to me, I think.
Right.
So I definitely, like, early on, like I wasn't always like on point with my lyrics. I've had problematic lyrics. And kind of like when you get politicized, right? Manifesto was like, I was radically changed, right? And I'm writing this, like, you know, I mentioned Palestine in the song, and I mentioned Black Lives Matter and Trans Lives Matter. But as much as I love that song, and that song did very well, I was like, man, this is somebody that doesn't know about this stuff is not going to learn from this song. This song is for people that already know that Black Lives Matter and that Trans Lives Matter and want to hear that in a song. Like, that is not being said maybe much at all. And if it is being said, maybe not by a straight male artist, you know what I mean, in hip hop. So I'm glad that I filled that hole with that song and some other songs. I have multiple songs that say abolish ICE. You know, some songs where the entire premise of the song from the start to the finish is all political. But finding that balance of, like, when I do a song that's just like, I just writing a love song, or I'm writing a song where I'm just being, you know, maybe vibrating at a lower vibration. There's times where you're just like, you just write something and it's just low key, a little ignorant for the fun of it. Because that's a lot of what I like in music. And, you know, you consume a lot of this stuff and you come out, you know what I mean, with what you consume. So along the way, just like making sure that, like, I'm true to myself in every way, like true to myself politically. It's become a lot easier over the years because I'm not who I once was, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sharper, I'm older, I'm better of a lyricist, so I don't have to try to filter out bullshit because I did the work. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But also feeling confident in, like, just because I'm like, when I say vibrating at a lower or higher vibration, that doesn't necessarily mean like this is positive and this is negative. Like the lower vibrations might just be less thought process put into it, but they could sometimes be just as positive or just as powerful. And that's where I've been going. Like I feel like a worker's ramblings, I was trying to like not overthink too much. And that's why I called it ramblings and not like, a worker's revolution. Or I was like, this is, if you find this could be like the notes of a madman. And then inside of it, when you crack it open, it's all this political consciousness, all this working class struggle, all this radical tradition inside the ramblings that you might find of somebody deep in thought, which would be me. That's who I am. And that helps me talk a little bit about like what I'm going to. I even turned it down a little bit lower with my next. I was like, all right, I'm going to lower it even more where it could be more accessible to people that don't know. After making a worker's ramblings, I was like, I did it. I did a full project, political from start to finish. I'm proud of every line. It really reflects my studies. It really reflects my organizing work, working here in Baltimore for years, you know what I mean? Just on a grassroots level. And getting radicalized in the Bronx and just all my experience with the PSL since 2017. I really feel like that project does that. And I was like, all right, my next project, I'm going to do what I did, but I'm going to do it even more. Like just kind of a flow state where instead of trying to find the deepest words, I'm going to just find the words that I find that I want to say. Like if there's a theme and the theme is peace, I'm going to just peace over east, like more simple stuff that's catchy and just like, like positive words. I'm saying up with positive and like down with negative. Like that was my theme for my next project. And in so many words.
May 29th.
Yeah. May 29th is called Know Me. And it's basically about my like how I the bravado that I was talking about that you find in finding your voice, knowing yourself in hip hop and just like doing it. I felt like the first song I wrote off of this was like a victory for the completion of the last project that I did. Has worked for that for a few years, and I just felt like, wow, this is really reflective of like a mature artist. And Know Me is a victory lap, but it's also like the next level, man. It's less like Manifesto. When I released that in 2019, it was scathing and it was like long and it was like maybe a little bit preachy. This is like not preachy, is very listenable and fun and catchy, but you can't, it's not Elias Ali without like working class consciousness slipped in there and, little sneaky lines. So like each song, even the most lit song, that's why I sent you the most lit song, which is the title track and the first track, Know Me, that has like probably the least political lines. And then I sent you the last song, which is like the most political song. And I wanted you to see both of those kinds of the balance that I do and wonder like what's in between these two songs? Like what is this project?
I definitely had like I got a sense. I was like,
Talk to me. What did it make you feel?
So let me get the track name. I'll go to my text messages. People always making comments about he always looking down. Find me a guy that can help me not look down because these are my notes down here. All right, he'll pop up everything on the screen for me, all that good stuff.
Yeah, you need to pull it up, guys. You need to pull it up. Hey, pull up Elias Ali's text. You know what I mean? Yeah, you need that guy. You'll get that guy one day. We'll know you made it when you got the pull it up guy.
Right. I need to pull it up guy. I'll be watching motherfuckers on YouTube with their pull it up guys. I'm like, motherfuckers, you don't even know what you have. I hope you paid them well. But anyway, all jokes aside, Know Me definitely. I can see the contrast with the two because Know Me, at first I felt like it was like a vibe where you like, just for the ladies, but it was also like for the ladies, but a more a conscious mindset. Like if you like, I got it as understanding that like I love women, respect women, and I understand that I have a conscious and it's to understand that we are all in this together, working class people. So like, I'm gonna respect you, shorty. You ain't got to worry if you come over here. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, this nigga married.
Hey man, for sure. Being a political dude, coming from the tradition that I came from, like just being like from raised in a very conservative like Christian household. I think like when I was politicized, like I went hard body the other direction. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's quite wholesome actually. But just because I'm married, don't necessarily assume that it's traditional in all the ways. You know what I mean? Like we do, promote like having that autonomy. So, and that's been since we got together. It's not something like I just like randomly pulled out like 5 years in. That's always how we've been. Make a joke. You know what I mean? That's no, like it is a good, I think a good talking point. You know what I mean? Like it's a beautiful thing because I do wonder that like we're not like promoting that online all the time because we're in love and we're married and like in a lot of public ways we are very traditional. So people wouldn't know. Like, are they like, is he just talking smack or like what is it? It's like. So I'm really glad that you actually said that. I wasn't expecting that out of the first thoughts out of the song. Because the song is called Know Me. It's really just about how I feel about myself. Not so much like how I feel about like women. But it certainly like does address the interactions between us. I was kind of in a flow state about like juxtapositions, right? Like, I'm too pretty in this, but I'm still rugged. How I'm rapping like I'm conscious, but I stay thugging, and I'm really for the streets because I'm devilish, with the women I'm a freak, but I'm delicate. You know what I mean? Kind of like
that's why I thought you was like spitting game. You was basically like, don't get it
interesting. Yeah. I mean, maybe in a way, but my goal with that song, even though it's called Know Me, when I listen to music, like I'm not like if I personally, the song. I don't know if you know it. If you don't, you should. The song "Him All Along" by Gunna. Right.
I don't listen to Gunna like that. I'll check it out though. Definitely.
He's like, a
lot of people have mentioned Gunna to me in the last year. I'm noticing that a lot of people like him.
Yeah, and I know the snitch allegations. Look, I don't get it all in that, but he's like, on the way to reaching my goals. He's like, on the way to reaching my goals. A lot of doors open and close. And he's like, they was trying to stop my growth. I was steady chasing my goals. Hey, to watch you while you watching, I'm grown. You can never take my throne. That kind of vibe.
Right.
Look at all these places I'm flown. I was really him all along. And when I heard him all along, I wasn't picturing like Gunna achieve all this stuff. When I'm listening to lyrics, I'm not like, oh, I'm Gunna, and I'm picturing like myself as Gunna, like on a flight to Spain, and I'm picturing myself achieving these things, right? It's a vision of me, right? So that's what I want with Know Me, not Know Elias Ali. I want you to be listening to it and you to feel big. I want you to feel like you're spitting game. You know what I mean? I want you to feel like, like how like you a little, like how you got that bop in it. How you conscious but you thug, like like you could be that, bro. That's you. That's you. And for those that feel that way, to really feel big at the end of it, to feel like I should be bouncing like on with moon boots and just walking tall, so it's not really so much spitting game. It's more me talking my shit and hoping that you feel about yourself by the end of that. So that would
I just one name just came to mind. Can you hear me? There was an odd. Okay, perfect. One name just came to mind. Chris Smalls, the brother that started the union in Amazon. You know what I mean? He gives a great example of like being from where we from, hard knocks, and still revolutionary. You know what I mean? He got the swag.
Only way to be.
And still revolutionary.
It's really the only way to be though. Like it's not represented in the media because it's so crucial,
Right.
That's what I think. I think Chris Smalls is really crucial for that. You know what I mean? Like that's that we need more of that. Right. More of that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then when my opinion on the fighter spirit, that shit an anthem, man. Like without like straight up anthem, and it's an anthem in a way where like you like I like how you said that with Manifesto, you felt like you was preaching, but in this, you're not.
Let's go.
You're basically just explaining how, like, look, it's simple as that, man. Like what you stand for, like dead ass. Like you gonna sit here just play along? No, we need to have that spirit. Like we 10 toes down on how we feel about this shit. Like we gotta,
Yes, sir.
Like you encourage it. You bring it up a rally. You're not like, it's not like we sitting down and everybody getting the lecture at the university or something.
Correct. And that's exactly what I wanted.
It's a hyped up song. Hyped up. My bad. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. No, that's exactly. I'm so glad you brought that back with the Manifesto thing, because I often think of that track because of how well received it was in political spaces. I hope Fighter Spirit gets that same attention, because it's not like this preachy song, but it's like it's a motivation for the struggle, right? Sometimes, ask me what inspired me to write that song. What inspired me to start writing it immediately?
That was going to be my next question. So,
what
inspired you to write that song?
The illegal abduction of Maduro. A down moment, right?
By the way,
a down moment. Free Maduro. You see what I'm saying?
By the way. Yep.
And I actually wrote a couple songs that day. Like that day it happened. Like I was like, there was a moment where I was feeling down. I went online. Some online people were talking about like, oh, it was an inside job and all this negative stuff. And I was just like, I don't want to look at that. Like that's blowing my high right now. I was feeling like negative feelings were starting to like try to creep up.
Right. And
I was like, nah. And then I looked online and I saw like the people of Venezuela like standing up, and immediately responding with pro Maduro chants and demonstrations. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, it's about the fighter spirit. Like, we're not done. This is not the first time there's been coups and attempted coups. This is not the first time we've had wars and rumors of wars. It's been end times since 1492 for us. And we're still here. You know what I mean? So that's why I was like, look at my hair, look at my skin. I'm back from the dead. Saying like this is that same fighter spirit of Hatua. You see what I'm saying? Of Cuba. You see what I'm saying? This is that same fighter spirit of Chief Sitting Bull and Geronimo and all these guys. You know what I mean? Like this is that same fighter spirit. I say, who is that? It can't be him. He did it again. 500 years taking his land, fuck up his bread, supposed to be dead. How he so fresh? How he so clean? How he so smooth? How he so zen? I stand up right. I look real nice. And I'm in training. Let's go head to head. Look at my hair. Look at my skin. I'm back from the dead. Look, it's a ghost. No, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's the man. No propaganda. It is what it is. I said what I said and did what I did. I gotta be me. I gotta break free. Ain't nobody's slave. I'd rather be dead. They tried to throw dirt on my name. I could tell who believed it. The reason I was saying that, again, like that other song, it's not because I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about every revolutionary that has had their name thrown in the dirt, right? Did Fidel cower when all of capitalist world media was blasting him? No. You see what I'm saying? Did Asata not try to escape when she was down? No, she didn't stop trying, and she made it. She's free. And she's with the ancestors now. May she rest in power. You see what I'm saying? So it was like I was like, rather than feel down in this moment, I'm going to evoke the fighter spirit. You see what I'm saying? They tried to throw dirt on my name. I could tell who believed it. They people ain't honorable because they crusty and evil. Simon Bolivar, Jose Marti, Fidel, could it be him? Asata Shakur, Lolita Lebron. They back from the fighter spirit. So that song I think really says like, okay, we're ending this project called Know Me. We can't end it without really talking about that fighter spirit. And I think it's also just a good socialist anthem and a communist anthem because of the way that I'm talking about myself and talking about the collective in the same words. And I think that's really, really powerful as well.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Like I mean, on this show, people that stay tuned and watch, they know how unapologetic we are about Venezuela with telling the actual truth. My co-host, Alex Suarez, who's a historian that's based in Miami, the Grisano capital. He talked about how he had the opportunity to be an election observer multiple times, and has spoken with the Venezuelan government, spoken with people on the ground. Last time he was on the show co-hosting, he told a story about how even the opposition started supporting Maduro, a lot of opposition members, because they realized that America's out to get them. America's out to destroy them. You know what I mean? Like when Maduro got taken, that was a very depressing day for me. I felt defeated as well too. As a socialist, I really did. And it took me a minute to get my spirits up. And I think what helped me was that I dropped a 2-part series on Maduro, and had a activist from Peru come on, and just hearing the stories and hearing how resilient the people are, and then having Alex Suarez come back on, and I really needed a pick me up, because the empire is empiring hard as fuck right now.
Right.
Me, my brother.
It definitely is.
I totally feel you when you was like, so I just started thinking negative. And I was just like, fuck, me too.
and it's so interesting that like the response to that, instead of just like dwelling in that, is to like make something positive, make something,
right.
To the natural reaction for a revolutionary is to resist, to organize your thoughts, to use your medium to, flip the narrative and provide that working class analysis, and, basically come in and save the day as us working class, revolutionaries do. And that's kind of like in musical sound, what I was trying to do. Look, with your 2-part episode, maybe it's not going to be as informative, but if you listen to it, again, like thinking back to when I was a kid, I didn't think about certain things until I heard it in lyrics, listening to Bob Marley and hearing Buffalo Soldier, and just like putting all these things together from like hearing him talk about 400 years and slave driver and this and that. I'm like, damn, like that happened in America and the Caribbean, and it happened all over. Like they did it, asking these questions to my parents, like these hard questions of like, why and like how, you know what I mean? And like, and he mentioned San Juan in this song. Like, did it happen in Puerto Rico too? As a little kid, where they're like, man, he can't just listen to a song and just vibe. You know what I mean? Like, and listening to, some of those that, workforces are the same that burn crosses, again with Rage Against the Machine, and
such a hard song.
It was like, what? It was like, wow. Oh my God, dude, you got to get the rage out every now and then, man. Like, just listen to their top tracks. Swear to God, you know what I mean? Like, I get my rage out every 15 to 20 days. I get my rage out, just listening to 5 or 6 tracks. They, that's what I'm trying to do. Like, where you listen to the song and you're vibing and you're like, this goes hard, and then you hear like Simon Bolivar, like, who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like I first heard Huey in that song I mentioned, Changes by Pac. He was like, it's time to fight back. That's what Huey said. 2 shots in the dark. Now Huey's dead.
He was dead. Yep.
Who's Huey? You know what I mean? That's the question that evokes if you don't know. And then you learn about the Black Panthers, and then you go on that deep dive. So it's like they were passing on important information. And you got to remember, like he passed away when I was a little kid. So like I'm listening to him really diving into his lyrics when I'm cognizant of it at 10, 11. He's already passed away. So he left that work behind, and that's what I want to do. I want people to hear it and be like, Assata Shakur, Lolita Lebron, who's that? And learn about the Puerto Rican liberation struggle, and learn about the Black Liberation Army, and learn about how these are everyday people who like educated themselves and like learned how to fight back, and in many ways had many victories against empire, against all odds.
And and please, guys, when you're hearing this and you're having a nice weekend, shouts out to the Spotify crowd that's been actually paying attention to me. I was shocked about that. Please, guys, I'm begging you, go and make sure you cop. Well, we don't do cops CDs no more. Go and stream Know Me, okay? by Elias Ali. Go
May
straight down.
29th.
May 29th is going down because you are going to learn something. Not only are you going to learn something, your head going to be like this. Because this is the experience I go through when I'm listening to Elias Ali. That's the experience. My girl was looking at me earlier. I had my little earbud in my ear. I was just sitting there. She was like, "Are you even watching?" Dude, it's because you just have that type of cadence and that type of delivery that's comfortable. And
yes, sir.
And you have a comfortable cadence, and that's deadly. Has anybody ever said that to you?
Never.
I'm sorry if that sounded disrespectful a bit, because I know
it doesn't. My friend, when my friend heard the song "Spar Boy,"
yeah,
I've been rapping with him.
Didn't you? I've been rapping with him. A few lyrics of Spar Boy in the last.
I did. I was
like, dude, this sound a little familiar. Yeah. But
that's when I was first coming up with the ideas. But I showed him that song. Like, I have a music video to that song. If you're, on YouTube, Elias Ali Spar Boy official music video. Just to get the visuals. We went to East Harlem in the Bronx to shoot it. I got my boy Max, who is a boxer for 30 years, and he beat my ass in the park, if you want to know the truth. He was supposed to be acting and missing, but he was like really hitting me. I was like, oh shit, like, hold up, like this is not an actual spar. You know what I mean? So I got a slice of humble pie while I was shooting the video. Watch it one time and then go back and like pause it like right before his fist is about to touch my face. You can see me like wincing. Get a funny screen grab. But that when I showed my friend, who I've been rapping with for over 12 years, that song, he was like, what have you been listening to be rapping like this? Somebody I came up with rap. I said 12 years, like if I'm not old as shit now. I've been rapping with him for 16, 17 years, so he's known me since right. He's known me since my high school days, and he's been hearing my stuff. Like he's been to my performances, and he heard Spar Boy and was like, who have you been listening to be rapping like that? And I was like, yo, man, that's me, baby. Like I never stop. I never put the pen down, brother. I never stopped flowing, So I do sound pretty comfortable, even though those are fast flows and a lot of breath support.
Yeah, it's the whole EP is really, really cool. Excuse me. That whole EP is really, really good. Really, really good. That's why I can't wait to hear your new shit that's coming out on May 29th. May 29th. We have about 5 minutes left because I have to do my prerequisites, guys, so I can stay official with PSL. Feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me see. We were talking about social media and how much the right wing is using it to cloud the judgment of our fellow workers. First of all, do you feel that same perspective? I feel like, I don't want to say his name, but you know who I'm talking about, homie that got smoked. He was used vehemently when he was assassinated, vehemently for the narrative to be pro international Christian internationalist, aka the original white supremacist playbook.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. It's been pretty wild. To be honest with you, man, I can't. I don't want to get too much into the white nationalist side. You see what I'm saying? They got to work on themselves, and we got to fight against white supremacy and this stuff. But like, what makes me most sad is seeing the diaspora wars that I was mentioning earlier. I think that's a big right-wing trend, and some people think they're being progressive by but they're actually being very divisive. And when you post something that's pro-black or pro-revolutionary online, and you see how many responses there are without pictures that are clearly bot accounts, and then people agreeing with those bot accounts, it really paints a picture. So I really think more about people like Kanye, you know what I mean, who have been influential in hip hop and in more urban settings, you know, among not only, you know, he's obviously influential towards like white people as well. He's been voted one of the most influential people in the world multiple times. But how it's affected us and like how I see, you know, in a time where like there's also like this heightened unity in some sections of the working class with like people of all different colors, creeds, backgrounds saying yes to Bad Bunny and saying no to racism and saying no to ICE, saying no to ICE, saying yes to you know, the Minneapolis uprisings and defending the people that were slain. You know, in a time where there's so much growing consciousness, the far right and the elite class are going to try to defend capitalism and introduce a lot of insidious media that really can take the reins. And that's why a revolution is so important, so that we're in charge of the media. And while we're working towards that revolution, that's why I think it's so important that you have what you have. And you mentioned earlier that you were shocked that there were people supporting it. And I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you shouldn't be shocked, because there is a hole, just like there's a hole where working class rap and conscious rap is, there's a hole in working class conscious revolutionary art and podcasts. Look at all the far right podcasts there are. Look at how many people have had Trump on there.
Yeah,
you know, look at how many.
Half of them feel bad.
So yeah, you know what? White supremacists are gonna white supremacists. You know what I mean? But it's really been weird to me seeing the trends of how many, like, you know, Black people and Latinos are white supremacy. You know what I mean? It's like, what is going on? So that gives us all the more, you know what I mean? That gives us all the more reason to fight back. And also not just, you know, obviously this contributes to white supremacy, but like just the American nationalism has been weird.
Yeah.
Has been really weird.
Very weird. I'm like, please don't forget your history, brown Black people. Don't forget what America did on this soil.
Here's what I will say about white people.
Totally different conversation.
Here's what I will say. If there's a white listener out there, this is what I will say. And I don't hear this said enough. Like, there's so much powerful working class white history. And when I think of my ancestors, right, I think it's one of the interesting things about being Puerto Rican. I think maybe Black people can experience this too. Black people in America know that they have oftentimes have mixed racial ancestry. Yes. When you're thinking about your ancestors, you're not thinking about the slave master. You're thinking about the people that resisted. You know, you're thinking about the people who fought against. You're not thinking about, you know what I mean? You follow what I'm saying? As a Puerto Rican, I have Spanish ancestry.
To be exact, majority of Black people that are Black American are only about 68% to 70%. So we have ancestry that's very diverse.
But because of the narratives, right? When we think about like Black history, and like when we think about when I think about Puerto Rican history, Caribbean history, it's kind of like ingrained to think about resistance, to think about the people that were the underdog. You know, obviously, like there's been long histories where they were trying to uplift the conquistadors, but it's very easy, like when you look at our history, to see that like actually the Puerto Rican nation, like what became a nation and fought against empire, was the formerly enslaved, the indigenous, the people that were these mixed race people that were low on the status, the Spaniards that were educated and learned about socialism and united with the poor and the working class and the people of color in Puerto Rico. That's what Puerto Rico is. And there is that history with white people. It's just that when they teach you your history, they teach you about George Washington, and they teach you about, you know, all these, you know, Andrew Jackson, and that's who they uplift. But they don't teach you about John Brown. They don't teach you about Mother Jones, who fought against, you know, the child labor and stuff like that. There's so much fire, and even now there's history being made with working class white people, you know, fighting empire. You know, like Alex Preddy and others. You know what I mean? So I will say, like, dig a little deeper into that working class white history and see all the times that we've united. You know what I mean? Look at Ireland. You know, the anti-imperialist history.
I was just going to bring that up. Yep.
look at them then and look at them now. You know what I mean?
Now, right.
And how they
Now.
have consistently stood for Palestine. Yeah, that's what I would say, man.
No, that's a good way to end the show, just showing the perspectives, because a lot of people don't hear it unless you go and organize and talk to working people, because working people face to face is a totally different perspective from what you get online. Online, it's just for the hyenas, but you will find a lot more in common with working people in the grassroots, straight up. And that is exactly what Elias Ali be spitting about while also serenading the ladies.
Got to. That's very important. Very important.
Well, my brother, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, man. This was a very good episode. To everybody, please donate to Cash App, Jabari Media. If you would like to support the show, please like, share, subscribe. If you ain't got no money, like, share, subscribe. That helps a lot, a ton, a lot. And I love y'all on Instagram for that. So please, guys, please like, share, subscribe, support Elias Ali. And new project coming out May 29th. Know Me.
May 29th. Know Me.
Check that out. Thank you so much, my brother. You have a really good night.
Yo, have a great night. Respect, man. Enjoy that political education.
Yeah, I'm about to. Yep. See you later, brother.
Blank period, yeah. On my black, brown, and indigenous. Gotta holler if you really feeling this. Gotta holler if you really real enough. Other rappers is delirious. Yeah, it's really that serious. Better holler if you really feeling me. I gotta keep it 100. Ayy, if you don't like it, then fuck it. Ayy, we gonna win in the end. Yeah, we gonna live in abundance. I gotta keep it 100. Ayy, if you don't like it, then fuck it. Ayy, we gonna win in the end. Yeah, we gonna. I gotta keep it 100. We gotta stop all the stunting. You know we coming from nothing. Yo, you talking about money, you bluffing. We gotta do something different. We gotta change how we live in. We gotta do better for women. We gotta do better for children. We gotta listen to victims, whether Jewish or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter your religion. You gotta stand against the system, or else you just another villain. How you just sitting there chilling?